Hello, everyone. I'm always thankful to be the last speaker before lunch. I don't know what I did to Bob, but I'm sure he'll remind me later. Thanks, Bob. So, first of all, thank you, and it is my honor and privilege to be in front of you today. I'm just going to say a few words about what we see from a services point of view around the Internet of Things, what we do, and in what we do, talk a little bit around how we get it done. And I'm going to try to do that as quickly as possible so we can move on to our panel discussion. So first, what we see. The notion of data to information, information to insight, and insight to action, that paradigm has become commonplace amongst all of our clients. It's moved from something that was a point of interest to now it's become inherent in our business model. What we see are clients trying to further integrate inside of their value chain towards customers, consumers, partners. We see them actually blurring the lines across industry, which you'll hear from our panel in a little bit. And also we see them establishing new business units where they actually see revenue-generating opportunities associated with the insight available. We see companies who are number one or number two in a given market segment using their scale, using their insight to be able to ultimately offer a competitive advantage to companies, to their company, to consumers, to partners. How about just focus on me while we figure that out? To consumers, to customers, offer that competitive advantage in the marketplace where they're now using that to not only have their competitive differentiation out there, but also, as I said, generate new units, generate new revenue, generate new capabilities that they can deliver to clients. Because they're doing this, it opens up consultative opportunities, services opportunities for IBM, right? One, we assist these companies in the establishments of these units, sometimes getting them started up, helping them staff and have the right resources in place, and then they're off and running. In other instances, we stick around and we support them in the development of these insights on an ongoing basis. In so doing, we become part of the fabric of that corporation. Now moving out of the typical boundaries of back office and operations and working with business unit leaders to establish new models, new ways to be able to expand within their value chain and beyond. We talk about the value proposition associated with IoT a lot in services. This value proposition is geared around usually four fundamental concepts. One, revenue generation. Two, cost optimization. Three, operational efficiencies. And four, workforce productivity. These four value propositions really form the basis off of which we engage clients to offer our services. I'm having all sorts of luck today, aren't I? I'm competing with the bathroom. This is outstanding. Yeah, Bob, you and I are going to talk. So this value proposition, these value propositions that are out there, that is how we focus our energies around services. It is the route through which we offer our IoT services to our clients. So to that end, what do we do? What do we offer? We offer a series of solutions that we can either customize or we can build from scratch, custom for a given client, that are based off of industry use cases that allow the client to, again, realize those four value propositions: revenue, cost optimization, operational efficiency, and workforce productivity. Some of the solutions that we offer, you heard around predictive asset optimization. We also have energy management. We have emergency management, social analytics, customer intelligence, telematics analytics. We have counter fraud and digital learning. And that's just an example of some of the solutions that we have available. These solutions are available as a service, via the cloud, and now through our IoT platform. What's most exciting about these solutions is they're applicable across multiple industries. We see them applying to various industries throughout the marketplace. So there's applicability in utilities, in industrial manufacturing, in automotive, in electronics, in retail, consumer products. We see use cases around facility management, asset utilization and reliability, fleet management, smart grid, smart meter. So we see use cases in place today where we can apply our solutions, customize them, or build custom solutions through Bluemix and the like that can go on top of these solutions to offer clients a jump start in realizing the value associated with their IoT investment and their IoT aspirations. Now, we have these solutions in place. What do we do with them? How does this all work? How do we engage clients? Well, from our perspective, we engage clients really through, the easiest way to think about it is a strategy, people, process, technology paradigm. Let's start with the strategy. As you can see from some of the handouts, as well as talking to any variety of IBMers, we have an IoT workshop framework. And that framework, through that framework, we roadmap an IoT direction and IoT strategy with a client. As we roadmap that direction, we utilize our analytics, our tool set, to be able to evaluate opportunities. From using those analytics, from using those capabilities, and evaluating those opportunities, we can present back to clients opportunities related to revenue generation, cost optimization, operational efficiency, workforce productivity. Once that happens, we then apply our own consulting acumen, coupled with, again, those analytics, to begin to figure out where we can optimize processes. As we optimize those processes, we then begin to employ what we call a consult-to-operate model. The consult-to-operate model allows us to leverage resources to put in place so that we can offer services to the client around harmonizing the data, around driving analytics and providing insight back relative to the information, as well as learning from the information so that, again, using our cognitive assets and the like, learning from our information, that information so that we can ultimately deliver recommendations to the client. So our consult-to-operate starts with the basic premise of strategy, optimizing the process, from optimizing the process, applying people to that, utilizing our technology so that we can ultimately achieve the outcome for our clients. That gives us the ability to offer an end-to-end solution. In giving that end-to-end solution, we drive differentiation. As Bob said, we have no interest in owning the data. It's your data. It's our clients' data. It's for them to have. We apply our insights to it for clearly that purpose. But the industry depth that we lay over the top of that, coupled with the scale that we have from an offshore perspective to be able to deliver these capabilities, those are all differentiating elements. And then finally, we have our ecosystem partnerships. You heard about some great ones today. But we also have ecosystem partnerships with Twitter and Apple, which you've also heard about, that we use to embellish and enrich the data, which allows us to be able to offer a differentiated service offering to our clients. And there's power there in our ability to offer a broad set of insight. This notion of insight as a service has power. Clearly, we have it and offer it to our clients. We see, as I said in the beginning of our discussion, that our clients are employing this themselves as a business model, as a capability that they're bringing forward. So to that end, I'd like to introduce some of the panel members so that they can come up and talk a little bit about their IoT journey. We can get to the panel members, please. Okay, so while we're waiting for that, I'm just going to go ahead and get started, guys, and get you introduced. So first up, we have Mobeen Khan from AT&T. Mobeen is a leader in our IoT group. Thank you, mate. We have Carlo Nizam. Carlo is from Airbus Group. He's the head of digitization. Nice to meet you, man. And we have Kevin Massey from Cummins. Kevin is the principal in the group in our IoT. I need a handheld. Thanks. Gentlemen, thanks for the time. Is it on, guys? I'm going to hand you the mic 101 as I go through and ask the questions, okay? And we'll just pass the mic around. I have a mic. So, Carlo, we're going to start with you. So I was hopeful that you could just get us going by talking a little bit about your journey around the Internet of Things, how you see that in the value chain economic elements that I spoke of in my introduction, and what you see going forward for Airbus as you engage in this digital transformation.
Well, Airbus has been on this journey for about 8 years.
Carl, I want to make sure they can hear you.
It's on? Okay, there we go.
Great, there we go.
Airbus has been embarked on this journey for about 8 years, and we don't actually call it the Internet of Things. We recognize it as a trend. We actually call it the Value Chain Visibility Program. And the reason for that is that we look at the value chain as profits in motion. And those profits aren't limited to any particular segment of the value chain. So if you want to take a big picture approach, that's how you're going to get your big savings. And we're uniquely positioned to be able to enable an industry transformation. The second thing is the output of the Internet of Things is visibility. It is measurability, or what we heard earlier, insight. And so that's what we're actually been deploying now for the last 8 years. Now, the way we see the world is that our IT systems, they're our eyes, they're our ears. That's how we tell what's going on in the real world. But here's the thing. In a manufacturing company, where does the vast majority of information come from that goes into your IT systems? It comes from paper. And that's okay when you're building a few things. But last year, we just delivered over 600 aircraft, and they have millions of parts. And over the next 5 years, we're going to be increasing production by 50%. So we're going to have a big data problem, or I should say a big problem with data if it's going to be coming in through paperwork. So where do we want to go? We want to have real-time, automated, digital visibility and measurability of everything that's going on. And the way we do that is by using smart technologies like RFID, like M2M technologies that allow us to connect to our parts and our processes automatically and digitally. And by doing that, we create what we call the intranet of things, because it's information that goes onto our network. And over the years, we've been building that up, and it's given us some really important information. Because now that we're being able to connect to stuff, we can know what is where and when. And that allows us to have three-dimensional images of our factories, three-dimensional images of our installation, and not only just for us, but our supply chain partners and our airline customers. So that's where pretty much we are.
That's fascinating. Thank you. Oveen, AT&T is a long-standing customer of IBM. We have a great relationship with one another that spans far beyond me, all the way through to our respective chairmen. You know, in the past, I've always looked at AT&T as a telecom company, as I'm sure most have. But between the acquisition of DirecTV, coupled with Digital Life, you really start to strike me a lot more as an information provider than you do as a telecom, blurring those lines across industries, as I described earlier. I was hopeful you could give me just a little bit of context on that, and again, talk about where you see AT&T headed around this horizon.
Yeah, sure, thank you. So yes, AT&T as a company is changing and evolving, just like IBM has announced an emphasis on IoT. Within AT&T, IoT is considered a huge investment for the future. We feel, and rightly so, just like you talked about Airbus, this technology will transform every single industry at its own pace, but it will transform every single industry. So we are building both consumer solutions, the one you talked about, Digital Life. We are now inside of homes with that, with DirecTV acquisition pending. We are also providing the content. We can also now figure out what's happening inside the home and then provide value-added services to a lot of customers in this room here. On my side of the business that I work on is around industries and enterprises. And that is transforming at a much faster rate that you don't hear about in the popular press. So think about insurance as a business, or supply chain in many of the retailers as a business. In insurance companies, in the short term, trying to figure out, especially auto insurance, for example, they're trying to figure out how I can keep my best drivers. So they put in a device inside the car or on your cell phone and figure out who's my best drivers, and I'm going to reduce your rates and keep you as a lifetime customer. But then they're now starting to say, okay, not only can I get driver analytics, I can get data on the cars. And not only on the cars, I can also get data right before, right after a crash event happens. And if I combine that with the weather data, and if I combine that with the traffic data, I can get really precise crash analytics. And that changes the model. Go fast forward another few years when autonomous vehicles are in there. How does insurance work in an autonomous vehicle environment? So that business is transforming completely.
All right.
So from an AT&T perspective, what we are focusing on is trying to figure out how we collect, organize, deliver the right amount of data, regardless of whether it's coming from a mobile device that has a SIM in it, Wi-Fi, or other low-power networks, Zigbee, and so on, and then working with partners like IBM to convert that data into insights. So that's sort of the investments that we're making at AT&T.
Obin, that was great. Thank you very much. Kevin, I think about, again, how we extend down into the value chain and look ahead to see the consumerization of the technology that we have, the establishment of business units around Internet of Things, and how we use that as a differentiator, how consumers consume it, how even our competitors can consume it. And I think quickly of Cummins and the journey that you've been on for the last 5 years. I was hopeful you could share a little bit with the audience relative to your experiences and what you're doing now.
Absolutely. So, in Cummins, what we're trying to accomplish is establish our core competencies to our end users. So, us, like many people have kind of talked today, we're a tier 1 supplier. So we build diesel engines, they go in other vehicles that then OEMs sell. So what do we bring to the table from a value standpoint? So what we've been able to do is build a platform that allows us to be telematics provider agnostic, which means our consumers, our end users can say, use whatever provider they want, and then we're providing them information about our product and their vehicle. One of the first things we've done is be able to release an application called Connected Diagnostics. What this allows our end users to do is as soon as a light lights up on their dash, like anybody has in their car, that indicates a fault has occurred. And so what we've done with the telematics providers is get that fault information back. We have proprietary analytics that we run, and then about 60 seconds later, whoever the end customer said wants that information, we have that in their hands about what the fault is, what it means to them, what we call a Cummins genuine recommendation on how to handle that particular fault, where their local service center is, the likelihood of the part that's going to fail, any derates that might occur on an engine, which means they're going to reduce power due to emission standards. So we can give all that information so they can make very quick decisions about what to do depending on what they're hauling, what kind of operation they're in. So all of that really feeds into fleet management software that these other companies provide that says, now I can really optimize what I have and be able to make it way more efficient for the end user.
That's fantastic. Thank you. So, Chris, do we have time to ask them another question, or do we need to wrap up? Is that okay? Looks pretty good. Yeah, great. So, guys, I just wanted to pose a quick question to each of you. You know, we talk a lot about our ecosystem partnerships, and one of the things that I've observed, and many of the analysts say, is that, you know, once upon a time, IBM would always say we're the single throat to choke, or the one back to pat, right? Because we have everything encompassed, incorporated. But in the Internet of Things world, that works against you. They want to see you have a lot of ecosystem partners. They want to see you have a lot of relationships that you use and leverage in order to be able to offer a solution. Because then our clients understand the diversification of the data that you're able to provide and the like. Having said that, I'd be interested in each one of your perspectives relative to how you function within the ecosystem, where you see great differentiation in partnering with ecosystem partners, whether it be IBM or otherwise, and how you see that going forward. Just care to start? Any one of you? Mobeen, maybe you want to begin?
Sure. Yeah, so you're absolutely right. For two reasons, companies like AT&T or IBM need to be part of the ecosystem. One, we're big.
Right.
Big means not nimble. So yes, we need to be connected with the ecosystem, especially where the innovation is happening. And one of the reasons why you guys have your innovation centers and we have our innovation centers in the right places around the globe where we interact with smaller, innovative startup companies and make sure that we can leverage those technologies as part of our solutions. The second reason is that we are still considered trusted parties, because when a large company, an airliner, an Airbus, wants to do business and put their mission-critical solutions in the hands of somebody, they wanted somebody to be a little bit more mature.
Sure.
They love the ecosystem partners that provide innovation, but then they would like to have somebody that has processes in place that can offer 99.99 whatever reliability, availability, scalability for the solutions. And that's the role that AT&T wants to play. Is to leverage the innovation, but be able to provide that industrial and network kind of a solution.
That's great. Kevin, Carla?
In order for us, let me put it another way, 80% of what we buy comes from outside. So our parts come from outside. So in order for us to build a fly-by-wire and digital value chain means that our entire ecosystem has to be bought in. You can't do that with mandates.
Sure.
Okay? It just doesn't work. So the first thing is you need to have a vision, and you need to have an approach that really invisibly incentivizes people to come to the party. So how are we deploying the technology, the smart nameplates or intelligent RFID nameplates that have all this information inside? How do we convince our supply chain to do that? Well, part of the deal is that the new nameplates, these new tags, are actually cheaper than the existing nameplates that go on parts. Second thing is they don't have to provide as much paperwork. So if you use the technology, you don't have to do the manual stuff. So there's a whole bunch of things that happen there. The other thing is that we need to have standards in place because our external supply chain, they need to buy stuff that's standardized, widely available, regulatory approved.
Sure, sure.
So all those enablers also have to be in place. So I would say that it's not easy, but it's something that you certainly have to work with time over time to make that happen. And that means that we need to have solution companies like IBM and like many other people available with solutions so that they can buy them.
Outstanding.
Okay?
Thank you, Carlo. Kevin, you say a few words?
We find it very important to have these partnerships and ecosystems like IBM and another big partner of ours, Cloud One, because what it allows us to do is we're bringing those core competencies to the table. So IBM is bringing their expertise around software solutions and how do we do that, and that allows companies like us to really focus on what we're good at. So as Cummins, we have thousands of mechanical engineers. We do modeling all the time. These analytics that we're driving, that's really going to benefit the customer. That gives us great focus in that area to really provide value. And partners like IBM allow us to move faster to deliver that to them so they can have some value with it. So allowing us to focus on our core competencies, the things that we're really good at, we are happy to have partners like IBM and like Cloud One to really help us with that.
Oh, that's outstanding. Thank you very much. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for the time. I think these are great examples of how we've commercialized, we've monetized IoT in a meaningful way, and we see it actually transforming each of your industries, each of your businesses.